Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's September 25th. These are your headlines. We're seeing a lot of Spanish mackerel across southern New England, including some really nice sized fish. Also seems like the striped bass run in the greater Boston area is really starting to come to a fall peak. And speaking of striped bass, we have 3 striped bass hearings coming up this week. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, I have a few news items for you guys. First thing, I just want to apologize for my condition here. I'm under the weather a little bit. So I apologize for my funny sounding voice and coughing and sniffling and whatnot. First thing I want to talk about is the striped bass hearings that are coming up this week. The first one is actually tonight. This is sort of the greater Boston area striped bass meeting. It's going to be at the Hilton Hotel in Woburn, Massachusetts. And this is going to run from 6 to 8 p.m. The hotel is on Forbes Road, by the way. What these meetings are is just a rundown of Addendum 2. It's going to give you some choices as far as how they'll be regulated. There's going to be possibility of some closures, either no target or no harvest. There's going to be some regulation changes to commercial fishing. There's also some things about sort of standardizing the way that we measure striped bass. So it's a little bit of a long presentation. I've sat through a few of them now, but it's very informative, and you're going to get to take the temperature on the fishery as far as all the different user groups goes, from commercial guys to recreational guys to for hire to guides, and it gives you a very round view of the regulations and what the ramifications are for different user groups. So that's the first one. The next one is on Monday. That's the 29th, and this one is an informative webinar, which means it's online only. I imagine there'll be people from all up and down the coast at that one, pretty much for anyone who couldn't attend a meeting in person. Everything else is the same. It's still 6 to 8 p.m. I will put a QR code here on the screen, which you can scan to get the details, or you can go to asmfc.org, or you can go to thefisherman.com and look at our Addendum 3 rundown to get those links. And then the last one is on Tuesday night. This I kind of think of this one as being the big one. This one is at Admiral Hall, which is inside the Mass Maritime Academy down there at the west end of the canal. And if past meetings are any kind of an indication, this one will it'll be packed, a packed house, and you're going to get a really full view of the way different people are feeling about the fishery. So grab a couple guys and head on down and listen to what they have to say, have your voices heard, and you're gonna come out of there with a round review of the fishery as a whole. Next thing, we have the October edition coming out, or is out right now, and I got a short video here that will show you what's going on in the glossy edition. But I want to give you a quick rundown of what's in the local part too, the newsprint part. So the first story is a story by Jeff Sullivan, actually one of someone that we all know from the video here. And this one is basically, it's called Blitz Watch Run and Gun Fishing. And it's all about run and gun style fishing, and being prepared for anything in the fall. So just how to pack for whatever fish you may run into, the etiquette of run and gun fishing and blitz fishing. And it's a really great read from a great fisherman. The next one is called Blocktober Blues, and that one's all about targeting giant bluefish out of Block Island. This one's by John Lee, another guy we all know from the report here. And this is just about targeting deep water bluefish and finding, those giant fish, those fish that are 16 to 20 pounds. Last October, John said he had an incredible year for big bluefish, and he's hoping that this year is going to be another one. Biggest fish they took in October last year was 21 pounds. The next one is written by Matt Stone, another guy we all know from the report here. And this one is just sort of a primer for the Connecticut tog season. Talks about the hype, talks about the advantages of having the season start a little bit later, and how to take advantage of all that and make the most of your opening weekend and opening weeks in Connecticut waters. That's a great one. Then we have one called Mr. Needlefish. This one's written by legendary New Jersey surf fisherman Shelly Karras. He's been fishing needlefish for 56 years, if you can believe that. So he's going to give you a little history, but he's also going to give you some technique that he has learned over 56 years of fishing the proverbial stick with hooks. It's a really great read. If you're a surf fisherman, you're definitely going to want to read this one. And the last one is a profile from Jason Colby, written by David Germain. And, Jason, I think of him as being one of the best bottom fishermen that you're going to find in New England. He's probably the best bottom fisherman that I've ever fished with. I feel like every time I go with him, I learn something. And this story really gives you a sort of an inward view of his progress as a fisherman, what got him into it, all the different, twists and turns his life has taken that have led him to being a charter captain. Really great read. Highly recommend you check it out. And now let's look at that video that shows what's going on, or what we have in the glossy section.
The October glossy edition of the Fisherman magazine is out now. Jim Hutchinson has the latest on the regulations regarding striped bass. Spiny dogfish turning trash into treasure? This is an article by Scott Thomas. Why leave all the fish and chips to the Brits? Captain Tom Migaloski has a great read on drop and reel heavy metal sea bassin. The classic method for targeting fall humpbacks with diamond jigs and teaser tails. Matt Broderick shares his insights, Tides of October, surf tactics for the fall striper run. Smart Storage is an article by Captain John Raguzzo, efficient storage for the mobile angler. Then we have Ray Littleford's Tail End. It's a great read about the ever-changing sand beaches that come and go with the tides. To get all this and more, be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. When you subscribe, you get 12 glossy print issues, 26 digital issues to your inbox, this past weekend's reports, full access to the website, and more. As a subscriber, you can also be part of the Dreamboat Challenge and win a new Steigercraft powered by Yamaha. And you can compete for a rigged-out kayak from Yak Attack. Subscribe now.
Now let's check in with our tournaments. Here's what's going on in the Coastal Kayak Clash and the Dreamboat Challenge. It was a slow week in the Coastal Kayak Clash. We only had one fish entered. That was a 20-inch sea bass entered by Bob Wagner, which is second place in the black sea bass category. Everything else remains the same. We've got Eddie Roman in third place with 6 points. Rotha Nong in second place, also with 6 points. And Dustin Stevens still leading the game with 8 total points.
Hey kayakers, the Fisherman's Coastal Kayak Clash contest is back. Win this fully outfitted Hobie Mirage Lynx kayak from Yak Attack along with other great prizes. Catch and release as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. To enter, you must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, fish from a kayak, and document your catch. Many chances to win great prizes, so get out there on the water now and fish hard. To be part of the action, you must be a subscriber and register at thefisherman.com. Here we go. This is the last weekend of September, and here are the entries for the Dreamboat Contest. First up, we have Long Island subscriber Rashawn Williams of Brooklyn, and no stranger to the contest with his porgy of 2.76 pounds, weighed in at East Coast Fishing, placing him 4th in the porgy category and adding 2 points to his leaderboard standings. Next, with his first entry of the challenge, is Long Island subscriber Ross Nasawiski from Massapequa, New York, taking 4th in the fluke category with a weight of 10.88 pounds, weighed in at Combs Bait and Tackle in Amityville, Long Island. The leaderboard is looking like this week. Thomas Luciano, 1 point down from last week with 21 points. Rashawn Williams taking 2nd, adding 2 points from last week with 17 points. And Jeffrey Harrison holding on to 3rd, down 1 point from last week with 12 points. Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dreamboat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize. So however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
Now let's check in with Jenni Ackerman. Here's her latest installment of Open Boat.
Circle, part 2. Welcome back. I'm your host, Jenni Ackerman, on this week's Open Boat. We are continuing with our Super Flukers Challenge. I got my laptop and we're ready to roll through part 2. Now, if you remember for Super Flukers Challenge part 2, I asked you guys to submit pictures of fluke that you caught on a teaser, and I went into just a basic bucktail teaser rig. Keep in mind, you can use that rig during the fall run striper season. If you recall, it was just simply a barrel swivel at the top, tied on with a uni knot. A little ways down, you have your dropper loop to pop your teaser on. And a lot of you guys were using either like Nantucket candies or just a sand eel teaser. You can use that same sand eel teaser rig for the fall run if and when we have sand eels that stripers are feeding on. And then of course at the bottom, instead of a bucktail, which you still can do in a sand eel color, you can do an SP minnow. You can do, a ton of different things, but that's basically, you can take the bucktail teaser rig and move on with it into the fall run and use it for striped bass. But let's get into some teaser caught fluke for the Super Flukers Challenge. Starting off with Andrew Kim, who caught his first fluke of the season on his teaser. And we have a couple pictures of Andrew here. Of course, the first fluke of the season is always a super exciting one because you're on the board, you're ready to go, you're honed in on a bite, and you're ready to catch some more. So congratulations, Andrew. Hopefully you caught a ton of more fluke after your first one. And moving on, we have from the Bayhead Shores Fishing Club, we have good friend Bob with his his teaser fluke caught here, hanging out in the net. That's a nice fish too. You can see its belly section's chunky, so I know where he caught this fish, so I know what they were feeding on, so good job, Bob. And then we have Buds and Bass with their fluke caught on a teaser, and this is a nice sand eel teaser. They even paired up a little grub on the teaser too, so that's a really nice presentation that a big fluke would 100% smack down on, and the proof is in the pudding here with the picture. We have Carl Ward again. He's gonna be a familiar name in almost all of the Super Fluker Challenge entries. So thank you, Carl, for being in the loop with submitting all of your pictures. We have Carl Ward with a nice fluke on. I believe he made this teaser also. It's a very colorful, nice looking teaser. I like the blue sparkly head because blue and glitter. I live for that stuff. And then we have another familiar face. We have Dennis with a couple hollow teaser flukes. We got 1, we got 2, and we got 3, 4 submissions from Dennis with his hollow teaser caught fluke. And last but not least, we have Justin Elliott with a fluke. And this is just a simple naked teaser rig that he caught on a Q8 super bait. So a fluke with a Q8 naked teaser rig. It still counts just because it doesn't have the glitz and glamour of the sparkly shine of like a teaser. It still counts because it's on that teaser rig. So that wraps up the teaser submission. And remember what I said, keep in mind that you can use this during the fall run. Obviously, you're not gonna use this rig, if you're using like a pencil popper, because just for me personally, that just gets in the way. I know some people kind of like using a teaser with a pencil popper, but that's just my personal opinion that I just stick with, barrel swivel, leader, and then have a direct tie of a pencil popper, or I have a TA clip so I can quick switch plugs. But when you have sand eels around, definitely consider using that same teaser rig because it's a universal rig. You can use it for fluke, you can use it for stripers. If you want to go crazy and there's bluefish around and you want to throw something like that, you could double up on bluefish, which is a ferocious frenzy of fun. Say that 5 times fast, I dare you. But that's just something that you could always, keep in your back pocket, save for later. It's a great one to use for everything, basically. So that was part 2 of the winner circle, and we are still trucking along here with our submissions. I have so many excellent subscribers sending me in pictures for every single part of the Super Fluker Challenge. So thank you guys. We're gonna continue on to part 3, which is the live bait edition of the Super Flukers Challenge. So stay tuned for next week's Open Boat as we continue on with the winner's circle.
Last thing, of course, is the giveaway, and this one has really started off, burning hard. We've got a lot of photos coming in, and I mean, from all angles of fishing. We've got largemouth bass photos, we've got striped bass photos, we've got albies, bonito, Spanish mackerel, and we've been seeing a lot of them. So I'm really thrilled to see that. This giveaway wraps up on December 3rd. We're going to give away a prize package that includes a whole bunch of stuff. We've got a Yuzuri mag pencil in there, which is one of my new favorite topwater plugs. We've got a Yuzuri Hydro Monster Shot in there, which is a great bait for throwing for like albies and stuff like that. We've got a twitch bait from Tsunami, which is a great striped bass lure. We've got some bait fuel soft plastics. We've got some paddle tails in there. We've got a Dexter fillet knife. I don't know what the total value is, but it definitely adds up to being worth your while. So get out there, take those photos. And I just want to remind everyone, I use these photos. So they're going to show up in the report, they're going to show up in the magazine, and they may even show up on the cover if it's a really great shot. So get out there, take those photos. And then one last thing I want to remind you guys about too, or kind of alert you to, is that next week we're going to have a secondary prize that's going to run for the month of October only. This has been donated by TJ Kopecky, and this is Tog specific. So your best Tog photos are going to win this stuff. I'm probably going to add a little bit to the pot to sweeten the deal, and so it's just going to be sort of a 30-day marathon of Tog fishing to win this secondary prize. So get those jig hooks sharpened, get your rigs tied up, and get ready to catch some Tog, because you might win something cool for that as well. So get those photos in, and we'll see who wins.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
Moving over to the reports now. Up in Maine, definitely seems like we're on the other side of the hill as far as the fall run goes. We're starting to see some smaller fish mixing in with some of those bigger fish, and the sort of consistency of the bite has started to taper off a little bit. So, it's what you expect. It's what you expect at this time of the year. That far north, as things are going to start to wind down a little bit. I still think we have several weeks before it really winds down. So plenty of fishing left, but things are starting to taper a little bit. The good news is, though, a lot of those fish seem to have moved down the shoreline a little bit, and we've seen really good striped bass fishing from Cape Ann down to Boston Harbor. That area has been solid, and then the best striped bass fishing we're seeing in Massachusetts right now is definitely in the sort of Hull, Scituate, Plymouth area. There's been a lot of great fish coming out of there. I haven't heard of anything absolutely titanic. We're seeing a lot of fish in like the 38 to 43 inch range, which is a great bracket of fish to be fishing on, with a few fish going up over 45 inches. I haven't heard of a 50 pound or anything like that, but good numbers and good sizes of fish in that area. We're hearing about guys doing it with live bait, like live eels, live bunker, live mackerel, chunked bait fish also working. Lots of fish being taken on flutter spoons and topwater plugs. And then the surf guys after dark doing it with live eels, big soft plastics. Needlefish have been crushing it. And some slender swimmers are also getting it done in that region. Crossing the canal, we got a couple days coming up where we see some northeast wind on the on the forecast. And when we have northeast wind, a lot of times those beaches will light up, and that counts for surf guys and boat guys. We've seen some bonito in this area. Those may get pushed in a little tighter with the northeast wind. Boat fishermen, of course, can kind of go out and search for those. And striped bass action typically fires up a little bit at that time too, and it's also a good time to keep an eye on the canal. So that's what I'd be looking for out there. The best striped bass fishing on the Cape is still around Race Point down to like Truro. It's been mostly a boaters thing. A little topwater action first and last light, and then some vertical jigging during the day has been working on some upper 30 to low 40 inch class fish. So, great fishing. Great opportunity to get some nice fish out of there. If you want a big false albacore, you're going to want to fish either the Monomoy area or the south side of Nantucket. Those are the two spots we're seeing some really big fish. I got this photo here from Johan Frenji. This is the 31-inch albie, I think. I don't think he gave me a weight, but that's probably in the range of about 15 pounds. That's a big, big albie and a serious battle. He told me that they did a lot of searching around to find a few active pods of fish, but the pods of fish they found were mostly big fish. And that was his new PB, so congrats to him. Same class of fish on the south side of Nantucket with some gator bluefish in the mix as well, up to 18 pounds. We're seeing those fish showing up on the Martha's Vineyard Derby board, and we're also seeing some evidence of some bigger fish moving in on the vineyard side too, because we've seen some big shore albies starting to show up on the leaderboard now as well. Striper guys fishing Nantucket Sound. I would be looking inside the ponds right now. I remember last year, right around this time, we had some mullet coming out of those ponds, and it seemed like striped bass just materialized when those mullet came out. So definitely want to keep an eye in those back ponds. You may find the fish up inside the back, or you may find those fish running the beaches. But once that big bait gets moving around, things get crazy. So keep your eye open for that. Another thing we've been seeing again this week is big Spanish mackerel. This has just been a sort of an unprecedented year. It's not like there's been hundreds of big fish caught, but I've seen big fish like the one I showed last week. I'll put that one up here again because it's just such a beautiful titanic fish. And then I got another one. This one was caught in the Elizabeth Islands. Probably not quite as big, but not too far off. I think both of these fish would have contended to be close to the state record. And that's impressive, especially, you think there could be one, but to see two and hear about a couple other ones. I saw a big one caught in Rhode Island the other day as well. I don't know how big it was. I was in the kayak and the guy was on the shore, but if I could tell it was big from 200 yards away, it was a big one. So there's good size Spanish Macs around, mostly bonito in Buzzards Bay until you get all the way out west. We've got some bonito up inside the canal also, and we'll hear more about the canal action from Eddie. And then out in the Western Sound, we've got a few albies in the extreme Western Sound, more bonito in that area, and good striped bass fishing. And then the togging has been good and just keeps getting better and better. A lot of the tog are up a little shallower, say like 20 to 15 feet, something like that, or 15 to 20 feet. Sounds weird to say it backwards like that. And that's what I have for you guys in Mass. Let's check in now with our field correspondents.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. Boston's still doing extremely well. The charters are starting to slow down a little bit. We're still booked up in the mornings. The afternoons are doing well, but the late evening is slowing down a bit. It's that time of the year, but if you're up for it, there's a lot of guys fishing, night fishing in the harbor, and they do really, really well. For the most part, for night fishing, you're looking at live eels, live bait. That's pretty much what you're gonna use. And if you know the area and you're confident on getting out there and staying safe, there's some big fish out there. So first thing in the morning, get your live bait, bring them back into the harbor, throw them on a down rod, Deer Island, Castle, Inner Harbor, some of the outer islands. We're getting in close to the rocks and tossing them right towards the beach. A lot of times it's just a couple of stripers cruising, looking for an easy meal, and if you throw a live mackerel in front of their face, they're gonna hit it. For the most part, they're slot fish, some unders, a few overs, but there's still plenty of action out there. The guys on the sweet and salty fishing charters were out there over the weekend, had some kids on board, and they were hooking up left and right. So fishing's still really, really good. Get out there, guys. Winter's coming. That's what I got for you. Stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.
Good morning, Dave. Another beautiful morning on the world-famous Cape Cod Canal. I got an eastbound flood tide behind me, so there's still a lot of bait in the canal, a lot of silver sides everywhere, really thick. But what a difference a week makes. The last report I told you about, a lot of striped bass, a lot of nice fish caught by a lot of the guys. and including Tony McCann's 48-inch striper. But this week, the only success I heard of was from Bull McKinnon, of course, and Bull caught half a dozen striped bass, 4 bluefish, and 5 hardtails, bonito. He was throwing a variety of different lures, all on early morning tides, and I caught an 18-inch black sea bass by accident, really. I was throwing a Hopkins metal 3-ounce no equal, and right after I cast, I got a text message that I thought was kind of important. I was expecting, and so I took the rod and put it between my legs and kind of squeezed my knees together, and I'm looking at the text, and I see the tip of my rod is starting to move, and now that the butt of my rod is making contact with a sensitive part of my body, so I put the phone away quickly and took the rod out, and I reeled an 18-inch black sea bass. So I looked at the fish and I said, "Where were you during open season?" I put him back in the water, and I think he winked at me. But these really nice tribute to veterans at the parking lot for the Department of Conservation and Recreation on the canal, on the mainland side of the canal. In the parking lot, it reserves a space for veterans. There's a sign with a beautiful American flag on it, picture of American flag, and the sign says veteran parking only, thank you for your service. I thought that was terrific, and so I confirmed with DCR community relations specialist Wilker Hersey, who's a really good guy, and he confirmed that sign was installed over the winter, because I hadn't seen it before. And I think that's just terrific. I hope I can finish this and get away from these bugs. And I think that's terrific. I one time when I was speaking to a group at Braintree Town Hall, they had the same type of sign in their parking lot. So I think that those signs should be in every municipal lot in America. And I'm not a veteran, but I've always done what I could to help veterans. My father was a World War II veteran, and without those brave people, we couldn't live in the greatest country on the face of the earth. So when you can help a veteran, do the right thing. So my tip of the week is try to be organized. When you have when you put your gear in your car or your truck, put it in the same place. And when you put a lure back in your bag, in your surf bag, put it in the same tube. And that way it'll be better to be organized. I try to be, I wish I was more organized, but it's always a good thing to be. So until next week, catch a big one.
Introducing the Yakutak Sandrig Surf Cart, the ultimate beach hauler for serious anglers. Glide effortlessly over soft sand with wide balloon wheels and lightweight, corrosion-resistant construction that's completely customizable with options. Whether it's rods, coolers, or tackle, haul it all with ease. Built by surf fishermen and engineered by Yakutak.
Crossing over into Rhode Island now, one thing that's been really interesting is a sort of bumper crop of weakfish. I don't know where these fish are coming from, but it seems like this new moon brought them in. Guys are doing well vertical jigging with epoxy jigs, vertical jigging or casting and letting them get down deep with small paddle tails like the little NLBN. Pink, of course, is a very popular color, but white, chartreuse, purple, those are getting it done as well. These fish are not huge. The biggest ones I've seen are like 22 inches, something like that. But there seems to be a pretty good number of them. And we'll see if they stick around once the moon tides start to slow down a little bit more, or if it's really just a moon-dependent thing. They do seem to like moon tides. But it's been an interesting thing to see, and it's made things a little more exciting when you're kind of waiting for the albies. Albie fishing on the eastern half of Rhode Island has really slowed down. We have not seen the bonito or the albies on the eastern side, at least since last Friday. Last Friday there was a ton of them, and then they just seemed to sort of vaporize over the weekend. But guys fishing in the Newport area are finding more of them. What I've been hearing is they're not seeing a lot of surface activity. So it's either kayak guys trolling an epoxy jig or like a little 3.5, 4-inch plastic swimmer, or shore guys fishing, high yield spots like Fort Adams or something like that, and just blind casting for hours to catch 1 or 2 fish. So they seem like they're a little more scattered, a little more, the school's a little more broken up, but they are in the area. The best albie fishing that I heard about in Rhode Island this week This is probably 4 or 5 days old at this point, but it was along the Narragansett shoreline, basically from like the Narrow River up to Dutch Island in that area. There seemed to be a lot of fish there. I'm sure they've cleared out by now, but it might be a good starting point. If I had to pick a spot to start in Rhode Island, I would definitely fish around the west wall. I just like that, big obstacle sticking way out there into the ocean. It's what makes it a great shore spot, and it's a great boat spot as well because those fish have to pass around it. So it concentrates bait, concentrates fish, and gives you a better shot at finding some. Fluking has been on the slower side. Most of these fish that I've been hearing about have been out around Block Island. Some guys even heading over to Montauk at this point. We do have some mullet still exiting the salt ponds, which has invited some striped bass up into the ponds. We've seen some nice fish coming out of the ponds. Got some of those weakfish out in the western part of the state as well, even kind of getting out into the Watch Hill reef systems. And you do have some false albacore and some bonito in the extreme western part of the state as well. A little bit more transient schools. I think a lot of the guys that are doing the best are concentrating on high current areas like the mouths of the breachways or like the tip of Napatree or something like that. So those are the areas that I would keep an eye on for that. And then of course the last thing, which I almost forgot to mention, is togging's been good throughout most of Rhode Island. Fish seem to be concentrated in, plus or minus 18 feet of water, something like that. But I've seen fish up as shallow as 5. And I haven't heard of anything absolutely gigantic yet. But, guys fishing, say, 15 to 25 feet of water are finding some good-sized fish. Plenty of keepers, but are finding some fish, up to like that 7, even 8-pound bracket. Now let's check in with our Rhode Island field correspondents.
Thanks, Dave. Hey, guys, lots to talk about this week. The fall run is started. Lots of stuff in full swing. Bait in general, everywhere. There's bait everywhere. Different kinds of bait, bay anchovies. We got peanut bunker. We got some small mullet. We got some silver sides. We got a little bit of rain bait. We got everything right now. Pretty much in full swing for these fish to feed on. We're going to start up in the Warren and Barrington rivers like we always do. There are some keeper fish, some slot-sized fish in the Warren and Barrington rivers. Got to work a little hard for them. Mainly at nighttime is probably the right time, as I always say it, to be fishing either in the pilings or with the current in the eddies of the pilings. Those fish are just hanging there and they're just ambushing bait as the bait comes through. So get a bucktail, get a paddle shad, 5-inch, 4-inch, they're all working. I've been using like a 1 to 2 ounce bucktail off the bottom with a curly tail or a jig strip on it. Doing really well. There are some small bluefish in there, so just be prepared if you're using a paddle tail that your tail's going to get bit off. There are some, the bluefish are small, they're getting bigger, but I haven't seen bluefish like this in a long time up inside the river, which is a good thing, and I like it. And it's going back to like 2020 numbers of bluefish that I've seen so far in different areas. To tog up in the rivers also, start working behind the American Tourister an hour before high tide, maybe an hour after, right through the slack tide. The bites there, the fish are generally small. There's some off the bridges too, if you're going to get up on top of the Warren or the Barrington River bridges. To tog, it's only going to get better in there. These fish are going to start moving in and feeding. There is a good shallow water bite going on elsewhere in the bay. But moving out towards Bristol Highlands, towards Colt State Park, Rumstick Point, there's been some good bass bites off of topwater, mainly in the morning time. It's been good with the way the tides have been. But look, hey, don't be afraid to get out on Jacobs Point or on Rumstick Point at dusk and throw a nice little topwater plug or a little swimmer, pre-surface. And until you're going to score, there's a lot of bass around right now. There's a lot of bait in that general area. Chunking off of Colt State Park, it still remains good. Scup fishing to tog fishing off the pier at Colt State Park remains great. People using crabs and shrimp. Moving out into Mount Hope Bay, Bristol Harbor, tons and tons of bluefish everywhere. There's actually some squetig in there if you can find them. They're not big right now. It's been some really small squetig around, but you can definitely, if you're on a boat, you can see those on your sounder and what they look like. They're just big, huge schools. The fish bladders, they show up really well on your sonic. your sounders. Moving up into Mount Hope Bay by the mouth of the Coles River, and it's been inundated with bluefish still there too. Really small, I'm talking 6 to 12 inch bluefish. Fun to catch. I've seen a lot of guys just hanging out there catching them. There have been some stripers in there feeding along with those, but it's a little bit harder to catch them because the bluefish get to the bait first. I've had quite a few paddle tails with the tails bitten off. I've switched over to like an exo jig, epoxy style jig, just to catch the fish better. Been doing really well there. Had a couple of trips out towards the oceans, Connecticut River. The tog bite in shallow water has been really good. I fished Flint Ledge this weekend. I also fished a little bit of some of the lower Connecticut River towards the Stone Bridge, a couple of rock piles that I know of, and we've done really well. The togs are starting to move in, and get your crabs and get out there, because I think it's only going to get better. And going forward, I think it's just only going to get better. I'm hoping to see some more stripers get in the bay, more of the proper bay off of Prudence Island and get over towards the west side. But that's only going to happen, and then hopefully Barrington Beach will light up with bluefish. I haven't seen it in years. I wrote an article about it previously, and I'm just so, I cross my fingers every year, hoping that we get a big, huge bluefish bite on Barrington Beach. Hopefully we'll get it as a lot of bait this year. So we'll see what happens. And that's all we got from the East Bay, guys. Tight lines. I'll catch you next week.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, my fellow fish maniacs out there? Well, this week I've kind of been jumping back into the surf, into the wetsuit, and then doing some freshwater fishing. The surf fishing's been very good. The big soft plastic bite's been good. The live eels bite's been good. The bottle darter bite's been good. It's been producing a lot of nice class fish, up to 30 pounds. You really can't go wrong this time of year, guys. Whatever you want to target, you pretty much can get your hands on. But as far as the surf fishing goes, I mean, that's been good. The outgoing tide seems like they're chewing better on that as of right now. And this phase of the moon right now seems to be the outgoing. That could obviously change by the minute, by the hour, by the day. But that's why we go, right? But the no live bait needed, the gravity tackles, the super strikes, and the big water baits have been producing very well in the surf. As far as the freshwater side of things go, I've been going at night and getting some nice class largemouth on hollow body frogs, the head and topwater spooks, and the big Berkeley power bait worms. Black and motor oil and red shad have been outproducing anything else I've been using. And of course the wake bait. I always throw a wake bait this time of year. But Dave, you really can't go wrong this time of year. I've been having a blast on the bank, and I'll be back on the boat next week. I suspect that tog bite is going to pick up even more this week, because last week it was very, very good. We were getting tog in, I think, 25, 30 feet of water on the jig, and that can get really epic. And once we get that first cold snap, trust me, that bite's going to blow right open. But as for that, Dave, that's what I've been doing this week, and I'm going to go inside, get re-rigged up, and get back after it. I'll check in with you guys next week. Later.
Hi, Dave. Coral here from Sara Star Charters with the Rhode Island Fishing Report. We have officially reached the fall, which is my favorite time of year for many reasons. One, there's just so many different species that you can go after this time of year, and there's just so much activity, especially for those hardtails. I know everybody goes crazy for the hardtails, and it's safe to say that the albies definitely showed up in Rhode Island this year with full force, not like it was last year. There's tons of activity going on. There's so much bait around. There's even still bait all the way up into Providence, and there's stripers all the way up into Providence, which is pretty cool to see. And there's just so much going on, and it's just like sometimes I don't even know what to talk about this time of year, because there's just so much happening. But the bait has been pretty much very abundant. You can usually plan or bet on seeing tons of fish activity on the surface, albies, blitzing, bonito, small stripers. North and south of the Newport Bridge has been very good. And another really fishy area is Ledge Road area off of Newport. If anybody fishes Ledge Road area, they will know what I'm talking about. That area over there is very fishy. It's kind of where Cliff Walk ends and the start of the mansions. You go around the corner there. We call that Land's End. But yeah, that's a very fishy area. It's a guarantee that you'll probably see albies sometime over there throughout the day this time of year, which is always fun, and I know a lot of people love targeting those. When I target those, I like to use the small epoxy jigs. Those work really well. You can get a really good cast into the fish like that, especially if they're a little bit farther away or it's a little bit windy. Another good option is using albie snacks, and I know a lot of people like using those unweighted, which is great. But again, sometimes the wind or how far away the fish are doesn't allow you to get that perfect cast past the fish to be able to work it back. But I like using a very small jig head just to give it a little bit of weight, but not too much weight while it's doesn't sink too much. But that's another really good option, and that's just a couple of my 2 go-to lures if I was fishing for those fish. And a good rule of thumb is when you see a blitz happen somewhere, usually that's kind of where there's a good chance the albies will be in that area. So like I said, north of the bridge and south of the bridge, Newport Bridge is a really fishy area. You'll see lots of blitzes going on, and then Ledge Road area is another spot. So if you're going out targeting albies, those are my 2 points, my 2 spots that I would usually choose if I was targeting those myself. I did see a crazy blitz the other day right in front of the reef. Tons of boats on them, but there's plenty of fish to go around. I think there was like multiple blitzes going on, and so that was pretty cool to see. And with the stripers, there's still stripers mixed in there, but this is the time of year that we get those the migratory fish that were up north coming down to us before they move south. So you'll see a lot of those fish around, but there's also still a lot of resident fish around. And I was actually out there today targeting those fish. They just sit on the ledges kind of like they do in the summertime off of Newport. And they are still out there. I went out there today and it was incredible. I wish I could have stayed out there longer, but the wind kind of picked up on us and then we had to kind of go up the bay to do something else. But lots of fish on the bottom using, your summer techniques such as using eels or trolling tube and worm, trolling umbrella rigs work really well this time of year, especially because of the small profile baits. They kind of mimic the baits that are around, match the hatch. So lots of different applications to be used. As far as the tog bite goes, the tog bite has been very good, and it has been good for the last, since middle of September. And I love fishing for tog this time of year because you are still able to fish really shallow. I mean, I fished as shallow as 10 feet and, plenty of tog in there. And I love doing that because then you're able to use, small jigs, light tackle, and it's just a lot of fun. So as the water gets colder, as we kind of, get away from September, go into October, you'll see those fish kind of move out front a little bit more into the deeper water. But as of now, the bite's been really good in the bay, Narragansett Bay area, and then kind of near the reef in Newport, where it's around 30 to 40 foot depth. So lots of stuff going on. This is a great time for New England, great time for people to get out there if they have boats, and especially the shore fishermen. This is a good opportunity for a lot of people from shore to catch because a lot of the bait gets pushed up really close into areas that sometimes the boats can't even get into. And you'll catch stripers, albies, bones, things like that. So it just makes it a good all-around time of year for everybody to kind of get in on something. And I'm looking forward to see how this fall kind of unfolds and how long the albies stay around, and looking forward to the tog bite because New England is a very special time of year in the fall.
Hey guys, it's John Lade, Point Judith, Rhode Island. I am on the pilot boat. We just got back in from a run. It's Wednesday. It's blowing east, kind of a light east, gray, overcast day. You can see a long, long way. And it was quiet. Very few birds, a couple of boats. I talked to a friend of mine who was out. He said the bite's off, the green bonita bite, the albie bite, the weakfish bite. He's getting a couple of bluefish, a couple of bonita, but nothing like it has been. That's primarily what I've been working on this week is green bonitas and bluefish. And it's been pretty reliable around Block Island. You can kind of run into them anywhere. All you really need is a few birds kind of dipping down, checking things out, and you just kind of go and have a look, and often you're rewarded. The stripers, we are catching them. That big giant school we had all of August, that school, for whatever reason, just decided to skedaddle. They were gone. They were there one day, the next day they were gone. So they're off to Montauk, the Jersey Shore, but there's remnants, there's a few. We got a few in the boulders up fairly tight to the shoreline. I did see my first slug of really big kind of oceanic bluefish. Those came outside in federal waters outside of 3 miles. They weren't huge, but the fish were to 15 pounds. And I really love those things. They're awesome looking. They pull. They're kind of elusive. You can't quite depend on them. The bottom bite for me this week, other friends did well. On to tog and sea bass and big scup. Every time I went or tried, it just wasn't quite happening. And that's also been a little bit of the flavor of this whole season. Sometimes you can't get a chew going. You hope to, but you don't. The fish, they're there, you get shorts, you think you're building a bite, and it just doesn't materialize. And this is with both tautog and black sea bass. That's going to get better. So I have trips this week where I'm going to be going after that, so I'll have more to report to you next week. I love this time of the year. We got a lot going on. There's a lot of different kinds of bait fish. You got bay anchovies, sand eels, peanut bunker, adult bunker, and then if you're ever running to block from the mainland and you mark all that red out in like 130, 140 feet, that's just solid butterfish. So all this bait, again, the predators have a lot to choose from, but it can be the cause of a fickle bite at times. So anyway, get out there. It's a great time of the year to go fishing. Take care.
Moving over into Connecticut, Eastern Sound still sort of stands alone as the best spot right now for false albacore. There are not as many bonito in this area, so most of what you're seeing, when you see that sort of signature funny fish blitz action, is albies. It doesn't sound like these fish are giant, but they're all solid fish in that like 5 to 7 pound range. And the bite's been good most days, which we can't say for a lot of other places. So if you're looking for albies, that's where I would concentrate. Of course, things can change at the drop of a hat. So be willing to improvise a little bit, be ready to move around. But there are fish in that area. And we got another sort of contingent of fish moving along the north shore of Long Island. So kind of feels like, those two bodies of fish are going to sort of come together somewhere around mid-sound and then just charge west. At least that's what I hope happens. But even if you don't find the albies, if you go out, around the Connecticut River or something like that, there have been Spanish mackerel around and there have been some bonito around, and there's been some really nice sized bonito as well. So, you've got the opportunity to get that, funny fish trifecta in that area. Striped bass wise, Eastern Sound's been good. It does seem like it's slowed down a little bit. But we are still seeing some really nice sized fish. And talking to surf guys, they're saying that they're kind of weeding through a lot of smaller fish right now. And but the guys that are grinding it out are finding some bigger ones. Saw a nice fish taken this weekend that was in the 45-inch class. And that came after weeding through a lot of 30-inch fish. So just maybe not as concentrated as they were 2-3 weeks ago, but there's still plenty of nice fish around. Getting out toward the Central Sound, sort of those Central Western Sound reefs, striped bass action seems to be a little more scattered there. So there are some big fish, up to 40 pounds being caught in that area. There's some slot-sized fish in the area, but everything seems to be more spread out. There seems to be there's 2 main classes of bluefish in the area too, some big ones in the 14 to 16 pound range, and then some small ones, smoker size, right around 3 pounds, something like that. So if you go out and throw top waters or troll around with an umbrella rig, there's a lot of different opportunity to hook up. Other thing that's been happening a little bit further west, out more toward New Haven and out to Milford, is this is another area where we're seeing a really strong run of fall weakfish. Same things we were talking about before, vertical jigging with an epoxy jig, or throwing small paddle tails, or even fishing with some live bait, is getting these fish. Guys are getting them day and night. It's been mostly a boat thing so far, but it's been great to see. We're also seeing some Spanish mackerel out this way, and as we get further west, we'll get all the skinny on that from Max. So let's check in now with our Connecticut field correspondents.
Hey everybody, so it looks like we're coming up to a just about perfect early fall weekend on the Connecticut River. Water levels still very low despite a little bit of rain. Temperatures fairly warm, decently cool nights, but yeah, fairly warm temperatures. The one thing to expect is a lot of weeds in the water, especially running down the west side of the river up north above Hartford. Down below Hartford, you could have a little bit of on either side, but yeah, there's a lot of weeds as our weed beds have kind of reached their peak, and some are starting to die off and get washed around and get uprooted by carp as well. Now, catfish fishing should remain fairly good. Downriver in the tidal sections, outgoing tides have been somewhat preferable. Look for those really deep holes. That's where most of them are stacked up. Upriver, the current's quite strong in some places despite the low water, and the weeds can be a bit of a problem for keeping rigs down, so try and find areas with a little bit less current. Back eddies, things like that should do you better. Some of this rain could draw some fish to the tributaries, but I don't expect that to last into the weekend, so we'll see how that really shakes out. But maybe on Friday you'll still have some catfish hanging at the tributary mouths. Carp fishing's been spotty to some extent, but we are definitely pushing into that fall bulk up period, which can be a really good time to get on some of your biggest carp of the season, especially in some deeper water with bait. Bass fishing, pretty good. Pike fishing, okay, not so great. But that's about it. That's what we got going on. Get out there, enjoy the river while it's still nice and warm.
Hey everybody, for this week's Fish Report, there is a plethora of small bait all throughout Long Island Sound. You'll mark it on your sonar when you're driving around. It is everywhere. There's a wide variety of bait. There are all types of sizes of menhaden, so I've seen them from very, very small to adult size. There are anchovies, silver sides, butterfish, sand eels, so you're going to come across a lot of small bait. So things are really going to blow open very soon. I expect the next month of fishing to be very, very good. Striper fishing remains good. There's big fish, there's schoolies, and there's slot-sized fish. So there's a good variety of sizes. Blue fishing is good as well. Some of the deeper reefs are really stacked up with bluefish. We see that this time of year. Diamond jig is going to work very well. The jig in the 100-gram Shimano current sniper jigs, really effective for this, as well as black sea bass. There's a bunch of sea bass. The issue is finding those 16-inch, or if you're in Connecticut, or 16.5 if you're in New York. Finding those bigger keeping sea bass is a little bit of a challenge. There's a whole bunch of porgies on the bottom as well. So bottom fishing is very good right now too. And we have the false albacore running around. They're a little tricky to locate right now, but they are spread all across Long Island Sound. So you have a lot of options right now. We still have some openings for October. Blackfish season opens October 10th. So we have a bunch of openings for those combo trips for blackfish and stripers. That's all I have for you this week. Good luck.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Lobsters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. We're definitely into like kind of the latter end of September, but it's still really warm. I think that's kind of like the resounding thing that I'm taking away right now. Water temp is still tickling 70, especially mid to late day, 68 and change, 69 and change in the morning. So I don't think it's really triggered like that fall kind of like bite that folks are sort of like out there looking for. I would definitely approach, stripers and bluefish right now. It's certainly you're looking for birds, but definitely don't discount like throwing eels, throwing topwater at your shoreline structures and things like that. I really don't think we're at the point now where when you're going out for the day, you want to bank on like just chasing birds. I just don't think it's happening enough right now. However, once we have a few cool nights, and we get into more, maybe like early October, once those temps start to drop, it will trigger those fish to feed, and all the ingredients are present for a good fall run. So stick tight with kind of your late summer strategies, and then you're going to go into fall run stuff once it gets a little cooler. Albies, they've been kind of everywhere and nowhere. On any given day, I hear about a few of them here, a few of them there. But I think there's waves of them that move through. And I think our first wave kind of hit locally for a week and change, and now they've kind of scattered a bit. Right now, we're in the midst of a little bit of a weather, rain and some south winds and things like that. We like that. I think that could shuffle the deck a little bit. And on the other side of that, we might see some more of them around. Still early for us. I was talking to a customer this morning. It's not abnormal for us to not see albies in the Sound until like September 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th. And it's really only a few days after that right now. So sit tight. The run is still setting up for those guys that we are surrounded by fish, albies. So keep an eye out for them, and always just bring a rod with you, I would say. Fluke and sea bass, a little bit of a pickup, but nothing crazy. Again, same kind of temperature dropping information as previously. Still there. Guys are still getting them, but I would probably keep an eye out for a temperature drop to help fire that up. So that's it. It's been a spectacular September. Hopefully it keeps on going and carries into October.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with your weekly fishing report. This past week has been all about the hardtails and the weakfish. Locally in our waters, we got a lot of bonito around, some Spanish mackerel mixed in. Most guys are shooting to the North Shore, fishing Crane's Neck, Flax Pond, and I know the beaches of Port Jeff have been good for bonito. There are some albie pods mixed in. You really got to pay attention because there's a lot of bluefish around, so we're hearing a lot of guys getting cut off by blues, but that's the name of the game. Moving forward into the month, the albie fishing should just blow up because I know Brantford, Fishers in the race now have, there are a ton of albies up there, so hopefully they flood down west. We heard a lot of weakfish the past 2 weeks, especially locally along our beaches, our harbors. 28C, we've seen a bunch of pictures of weakfish. I've seen them in Fairfield, and I've seen them off Milford. So that's a cool fish to get on right now. Definitely get on them because they're not always around in good numbers like this. Stripers are also going to be an early morning, sunset, nighttime thing. The daytime's still a little slow. If you're going to fish in the daytime, try to concentrate around the peanut bunker schools like the back bays, estuaries. Small bucktails, paddletails, poppers, little jumping minnows work perfect this time of year. Beaches do have cocktail bluefish around, and still porgies all over our beaches. They're in our harbors, shallow water reefs, and deep water reefs. Thanks and good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. Definitely want you guys to check out that October edition. Check out thefisherman.com. And if you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to that website and check it out. It's $31.95 for the year. You're going to get, unencumbered digital access to all of our back issues, all of our current issues, both of our other editions. You're also going to get 12 paper magazines sent to your mailbox, and 26 digital editions every year are going to come to your email. Plus, there's all kinds of video content and stuff on the website as well. But if you check that out and you're not interested, which would be tough to believe, but hey, it's your prerogative. At the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right about there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.